The storm that exploded, Roman Reigns' brutal vengeance on Paul Heyman at Backlash 2025. In the world of professional wrestling, betrayal is a constant theme. Alliances are formed, promises are made, and legends are born, until those same alliances crumble, and the true nature of characters is revealed. But no betrayal in recent memory has hit as hard as the one that took place at WrestleMania 2025. It was the night that shattered a dynasty, a night that would change the course of Roman Reigns' career and forever alter the fabric of the WWE Universe. And yet, even after all the whispers, speculations, and rumors, no one could have predicted the storm that would hit Backlash 2025. Roman Reigns, the once untouchable tribal chief, returned to claim what was rightfully his, vengeance. But it wasn't just anyone in his path. It was Paul Heyman, the man who had stood beside Roman, who had built the bloodline alongside him. The man who had promised loyalty, who had sworn that he'd rather die than betray the bloodline. And yet, in one fateful moment, Paul Heyman committed the ultimate sin, and Roman was finally ready to make him pay in blood. This is the story of how Roman Reigns' wrath exploded, not just in front of the cameras, but behind the scenes, turning Backlash into a night that will go down in history. The calm before the storm. It all started with a whisper. Just a small, fleeting rumor. The kind of chatter that barely raised an eyebrow at first. Roman Reigns is here. For months, fans had speculated about Roman's whereabouts. Ever since that fateful night at WrestleMania, when Paul Heyman had orchestrated Roman's downfall by aligning himself with CM Punk, the tribal chief had been silent. His absence was deafening. No one knew where he was. Was he in hiding? Was he licking his wounds? Or was he plotting his revenge? Backlash 2025 would prove to be the night the answers came. But it wasn't going to be an entrance. There would be no dramatic music. No spotlight. No warning signs. Just a shadow moving through the corridors, a lone figure walking through the back, unseen by most until it was too late. The betrayal that changed everything. To understand why Roman's return was so monumental, we need to rewind to the events of WrestleMania 2025. It was the night that shook the very foundation of the bloodline. Roman had been scheduled to face CM Punk for the undisputed WWE Championship. It was supposed to be the culmination of Roman's reign, the moment that solidified his legacy as the tribal chief. But then, Paul Heyman, the man who had stood beside Roman for years, pulled the rug out from under him. For weeks, rumors had circulated that Heyman was working behind the scenes with Punk. But Roman didn't believe it. Heyman was his Wiseman, his advisor. He had been there from the beginning, guiding him, shaping the bloodline. Roman had always trusted him implicitly. At WrestleMania, everything came crashing down. As Roman was on the verge of reclaiming the championship, Heyman, in a shocking act of betrayal, interfered in the match. But it wasn't just a simple distraction. Heyman, with the cold precision he was known for, aligned himself with CM Punk and handed him the undisputed championship, all while turning his back on Roman in front of the entire WWE Universe. The shockwave from that moment was felt throughout the wrestling world. Fans couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. Roman, the tribal chief, had been dethroned not by Punk's skill, but by the man who had claimed loyalty to him. The trust had been shattered. The bloodline had been broken from within. And Roman Reigns was left humiliated, betrayed, and cast aside like a relic of a past he had once controlled. Heyman's rise. While Roman's absence was felt deeply, Paul Heyman's rise to power in the aftermath of WrestleMania was equally as startling. The Wiseman had no time to mourn his betrayal. Instead, he swiftly positioned himself alongside CM Punk, taking on a new role, one of power and influence. Heyman was no longer a loyal servant. He was now the puppet master, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. He used his cunning and charisma to manipulate situations, ensuring that he remained in control of the narrative. But in doing so, he made enemies. He made enemies of those who had once been close to him, including the very people who had stood by him during the rise of the bloodline. And though he appeared to be in control, the truth was that Roman Reigns had been silently watching, waiting, and plotting his revenge. The return of the tribal chief. Backlash 2025 would be the night Roman Reigns finally returned. But it wasn't going to be the return that anyone expected. There would be no announcement, no grand spectacle. Roman Reigns wasn't interested in the flashy entrances. He didn't need them. He was here to send a message. The first sign of his presence came in the form of a black SUV, pulling up behind the arena. No lights. No fanfare. Just a shadow emerging from the vehicle. It was Roman, walking through the backstage area, his eyes burning with anger. His presence was felt before he was even seen, the weight of his past actions and the betrayals he had suffered hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Roman wasn't interested in the spotlight tonight. He wasn't interested in titles or championships. What mattered now was making Paul Heyman pay. The backstage warzone. It was around the middle of the show when Roman Reigns made his move. Fans had been eagerly watching the action in the ring, unaware of what was unfolding backstage. The arena was buzzing with excitement when suddenly, the lights flickered. The crowd went silent, sensing something was wrong. And then, the broadcast cameras cut to the backstage area. What they saw next would send shockwaves through the WWE universe. Roman Reigns was storming through the hallways of the arena, with a fury in his eyes. His destination? Paul Heyman's dressing room. The former Wiseman, the man who had once called himself Roman's closest confidant, was nowhere to be seen. But that didn't stop Roman. He kicked the door down, and inside, a brutal scene unfolded. Roman Reigns, no longer the calm and calculating leader of the Bloodline, was a man possessed. He grabbed Heyman by the collar, lifting him off his feet and slamming him into the wall. The once confident Wiseman was now reduced to a mere pawn, a helpless figure in the face of Roman's wrath. But this wasn't just a beating. Roman wasn't here to kill Heyman physically, he was here to destroy him mentally. With every word he said, Roman reminded Heyman of the promises he had broken, the loyalty he had betrayed. He reminded him that the Bloodline was not just a faction, it was a family. And Paul Heyman had committed the ultimate sin by betraying his family for power. The legacy of betrayal. As Roman's fury subsided, the backstage area was left in a war zone. Paul Heyman, bloodied and broken, was left on the floor, unable to comprehend the sheer brutality of what had just transpired. Roman stood over him, his chest heaving with anger, his eyes burning with the fires of vengeance. The WWE Universe would never forget what happened at Backlash 2025. This wasn't just a match. This wasn't just a confrontation. This was Roman Reigns declaring war on the very idea of betrayal. This was him making a statement, not just to Paul Heyman, but to anyone who dared to cross him. The Bloodline was his, and anyone who threatened its legacy would pay the price. The aftermath. Backlash 2025 will forever be remembered as the night that Roman Reigns reclaimed his throne. But it wasn't just a return to form, it was a declaration of power, a statement that no one, not even Paul Heyman, was safe from his vengeance. The tribal chief had been broken once, but he was never going to let that happen again. Roman Reigns had turned the backstage area into a war zone, sending a message to the entire WWE universe: there is no mercy for traitors. There is no redemption. There is only retribution. And the Bloodline? It was stronger than ever. Because in the world of Roman Reigns, there is no place for weakness. This has been Wrestling News CC, bringing you the inside scoop on the most shocking moments in WWE history. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more breaking news, exclusive coverage, and all things wrestling. We'll see you next time, right here on Wrestling News CC. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life.